Welcome back to another episode of the Savage Angel podcast. Today, I have the most incredible guest. Her name is Ashley Cruz Arata, and I'm going to let her introduce herself instead of reading a long bio because she has so many credentials. She's the queen of helping women. I can't wait for you to hear all about what she does. We're going to have a great conversation here. I'm going to let Ashley introduce herself. So, Ashley, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Angela, I'm so happy to be here chatting with you today. Thank you for having me. Excited to dive into women's health as well. I'm an integrative health practitioner, so I work with women 35 plus when our hormones start to naturally decrease and shift in life. If you know, you know.
Yep.
And I work with women through the lens of root cause testing, actual functional medicine. It's root cause testing. So it actually assesses why your body is symptomatic as your hormones shift and naturally decrease with age. I got into this work by way of my own chronic health journey. I have half a thyroid. I gained 40 pounds. My husband almost divorced me. I was so insane with hormonal rage. And I was dismissed through the conventional care system. So I went back to school and figured it out through functional medicine lab testing and got to the root cause of what was actually going on in my body after I started synthetic thyroid medication. And now I help other women navigate those changes in life too, because it is a lonely space to be if you're going through it. And I'm just thrilled to be doing this work.
Ashley, I am so glad that you talked about that. And I think when we spoke earlier, you were sharing that a lot of your clients work for a big company in the Pacific Northwest. And, they're experiencing things like burnout, fatigue, all of that. Can you share how these women are feeling and why do they come to you? How do they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm ex Amazon. I live in Seattle. I spent a decade at Amazon, and climbed the corporate ladder and burned the candle at both ends and found myself really, really struggling with burnout. So the years leading up to my thyroidectomy, I started having some, slight whispers from my body that hormonally maybe things weren't as aligned as they were previously. And my typical toolkit that worked when I was in my late 20s and early 30s in terms of managing stress and weight loss, that stopped working for me. And I think when I take a look back at the demands and where I was when I was in the midst of that corporate ecosystem, just the demands on us as women in modern society are just insane. Am I right? I mean, we are expected to have the perfect house, the perfect career, the perfect marriage, the perfect sex life, the perfect body, the perfect kids, the perfect pets. I mean, how does anybody have time for that? There are the reasons that we are burnt out. I mean, hello, we're expected to be perfect in everything to everyone. Of course, we're burning out. And so I was finding that I felt so isolated when I was in it. I found that I didn't feel like, even though I knew other women in my ecosystem who were working just as hard, who had busy lives and whatnot, I didn't feel like I could connect with and talk to them about what was going on because, again, that gives the illusion that we're not perfect, that we don't have it figured out, that we can't pull it together, right? And it can be really lonely and isolating. And so when I finally made the decision to leave corporate at the end of 2024, I took a year sabbatical. I traveled around the world. I healed my own body. Best year of my life investing that time. I started working with those women who I had met through Amazon and through, my clients and other large companies that I worked with through my career there, started coming to me very quietly and saying, hey, I know you're taking a break and I'm kind of dealing with these things too. And I found that they were downplaying what they were experiencing and going through. And so I wanted to be the vessel to be able to talk about it and talk about what's actually going on in their bodies because it's not as simple as, girlfriend, you need to meditate and do more breath work or take a yoga class. Like, if you have been experiencing chronic stress for years, you are chemically depleted at a level that no amount of meditation is going to fix. There are other things that we can do to support your body, and just nobody is talking about it out there right now.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think that women in general, especially in the business world, people don't talk about it as much. And when you're burnt out and stressed out of your mind and you might have children, you might have a partner, whatever that looks like, it's a lot. And how are you expected to carry that? And then you go to a normal doctor, right? And they just sort of take this medicine and it's just like it totally just doesn't help. I know I went through a medical crisis 2 years, ago, and I had to, like, literally put my business on hold, which I'd been doing 22 years at that point. And here's the thing, I learned very quickly that regular doctors could not help me. In fact, they told me I didn't have there was no cure for what I had, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't live with this." So I went and found my own cure. Do you know
Yep,
what I mean? Like, I had to dig.
absolutely.
And so I think, Ashley, I think that we need to make more awareness out of this, because if you were to look at all the women that have professional careers between the ages of 35 and say 60, right? 58, 60, how many of those women are actually burnt out and stressed out and it's impacting them? Like what percentage? I mean, I don't know. I haven't done the statistics. Do you know?
I don't know the exact number, but I would say of the demographic that I work with and support, 100%. 100% of them are so depleted and so burnt out that chemically there is nothing left in their body left to support their stress response. So I think that's one thing that is so counterproductive for women that are in this stage of life when they do finally get to the point where they make an appointment with their doctor and they go and they talk about these things and they're told, well, you've got a big career. You're just stressed, or you've got kids and a career and you're managing a household and you travel for work. So it's just stress. You need to get a massage once a month, or you try exercising more. And it's so counterproductive because, yes, do those things help? To an extent, they do. But again, stress is also a chemical imbalance in the body. Cortisol is a hormone. And our adrenal glands, these tiny little walnut sized glands that sit on top of our kidneys, they control our stress response in our body. And when we have been in fight or flight for a very, very long time, we are burning through the reserves that our body has on hand for us to be able to initiate the stress response that we need to navigate the demands of modern life as women. And so it is so counterproductive when doctors are telling women, you're just stressed, you need to try to relax more. It's like, no, there's more to the story. How do we actually support these women when they're already chemically imbalanced? And there are ways that we do that in functional medicine where women notice changes in their body literally within 10 days. Some of my clients come to me and they're like, holy shit, I slept through the night for the first time in years. Like, I don't remember the last time I slept through the night. And so it's mind blowing to me how they're dismissed. But for the woman, to answer your question, for the woman that I work with, 100% of the women I see in that stage of life are at complete and total burnout.
It's and I hate to use this word, but it's almost an epidemic.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know,
Without a doubt it is.
it's just it's almost like you have to come to the point, and this is the point that I got to, is I frankly don't care if I have dirty dishes in the sink for a couple days. I just don't. I don't care if my floors haven't been mopped for 2 weeks. If they're I sweep, if they're or my robo vacuum, great. Like before I was a Nazi, I don't do that anymore. But here's one thing I will tell you that's helped me, and this is not like what you do, but just, I simplified my life so I could start to support myself. I didn't have someone like you, right? When I got sick, like I had to find someone like you. Do you know what I'm saying? And it cost a couple $100,000 to get better.
Without a doubt. I
And
mean,
yeah,
it took me, I think I blew $75,000 trying to figure out how to heal, and that is not at all what women need to invest today. I think it's becoming more mainstream, the idea of functional medicine, of root cause testing, but it was very lonely for those 3 years I was going through it, and I was so desperate to feel better that I was throwing money at anyone who even dangled the idea of a solution in front of me because I was on the brink of losing my marriage. And I mean, my hormonal rage was out of control. I felt like my brain had turned off overnight. I couldn't remember why I was walking into rooms. My brain fog was that thick. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose my career. I'm not going to be able to afford my life, my house. Like, and so it was like, take my money, please. And that's not at all what people need to do today. The woman that I work with, we go through a really structured process and it's very approachable and it's meant to fit in within the realities of modern life as women. But yeah, there are ways to break it off into pieces so it's not as overwhelming. To your point, Angela, I think if we can just look at this philosophy that I love of ones plus twos equal tens, we don't have to overhaul our lives overnight, but we do have to look at where we can pick out a one or a two here or there to start making changes to simplify things
yeah,
because burnout's real. It's real.
my health, like I crashed and burned. I mean, I was crazy. Now I run my own business, but I had like 17 private clients. I was running 2 mastermind group calls, all kinds of digital products, big social media groups. I mean, hello, like I was doing consulting, I have building tech, funnels, like all this stuff, websites. I crashed and burned like no tomorrow. So I'm the extreme case. So when you say, Ashley, you have a very structured process and it's just like pulling out one or two things to start simplifying your life, like inside of you and outside of you, I like that's music to my ears. I literally wish 2 years ago I would have had someone like you because it would have changed my life. I think the biggest thing though, and that's why I like doing these episodes and talking to people like you, Ashley, is that I want women to be aware of what could happen. Not that it's like fear mongering, but just to be educated. That way they can start small. If they recognize, start small. Reach out to you, Ashley, have that conversation, start small so they don't go through what you and I went through. Because for me, it was hell on earth. Like I can't, it was horrific. And I don't want that for other women. What
No,
1% don't want that.
not at all. And I think as well, probably a lot of the women who listen to your podcast will resonate with this, but I'm a type A. You're a type A. You're a business owner, right? And so for me, healing became one more thing on my to do list where I was like, all right, I got to put together a plan. I have to research everything. I need a budget. What's my step one? How I'm going to figure this out? And it was like, it became my doctor appointment schedule and practitioner schedule was a part-time job to manage. I mean, the invoices coming in, submitting things to insurance, trying to get reimbursed, right? Everything, the supplement schedule, it just was fucking ridiculous. At the end of the day, it was like, wait, I'm taking this on as a part-time job. I'm now 10 times more stressed because I'm obsessing over healing every single day as a part-time job. And that is not the answer. What actually got me to move the needle was first and foremost, you can't solve a problem that you can't see or identify. So you have to actually identify what is at the root of your particular symptoms with the right testing. Once you know that, it becomes very, very simple when you are working with someone who's skilled and experienced in the space to break it down in a way that's realistic for your life, for your budget, for the time that you have, even if it's 10 minutes a day, to be like, here are some small things that we can do to start getting your body back into balance so that you don't have to suffer. But I find when women try to piecemeal it together, at least initially, that's what I try to do. One, I ended up spending way more money than I needed to. I lost probably years trying to figure it out myself because I wasn't an expert and I wasn't trained at that time to navigate this path on my own. And finally, it just added more stress. It actually delayed my healing because I was so much more stressed trying to overhaul everything in my life and fix it at once. And that's just not a reality for anyone. I don't do that with my clients, even when they come to me super motivated. The type A's who are like, all right, let's fix this problem. I'm all in. I'm ready to invest. I want to do this. Let's solve this. I'm like, okay,
Dial
let's
it
take,
down.
yeah, let's dial it down. Let's figure out what problem we need to solve first before we try to throw the book at it. Right. And that's the way I think we get lasting healing and lasting results too when we take that approach.
Well, and I would agree with you because what I did was the exact opposite of what you should do. I couldn't function. So they had me so medicated. And I remember starting to look for like, how can I fix this? Because everybody says it's not curable. You have to live with this. And I'm the, like you. And I remember I was so medicated and I was on Clonopin, all kinds of drugs. And I was standing on my vibrating plate because the first thing I thought, okay, well, I've got to start cleansing my lymphatic system. I was doing exercise, all these things for 8 hours a day. And I remember standing on that vibrating plate. I told my doctor, I'm going off Klonopin. I need my personality back. This is literally what I said. I need my personality back so I can beat this monster. And I remember 3 days after starting to withdraw, I was standing on my vibrating plate and I screamed. I'm like, my personality came back and I'm gonna beat you, and I said some bad words, but I was desperate, and so I tried everything, and it was
Yeah.
this big melting pot, and I had a spreadsheet of 32 things I did every single day. I kid you not, and now I'm like, if I had to redo it all, I wouldn't do that. I would have tried one thing, see if it worked, then go to the next thing. So I encourage women to really listen to what Ashley has to say. It's like there's a process to follow. Not don't do it like the way I did it, but I was absolutely devastated and desperate, like
Yeah, and it's understandable when you're in that state, when you are feeling so unwell and you don't know that the resources exist to carve out another path, right? To look at another approach. And you're going to the people that society has told you since birth to trust, to blindly trust and put your faith in, right? If someone has an MD after their name, that you trust everything they say, and these people are telling you there's nothing wrong with you, or they're dismissing you, or they're telling you you're incurable. There's nothing that we can do for you. It can be really, really lonely and it can make you feel hopeless. But I just want to say for anyone listening who is going through something in life right now where your body is feeling off and you are not getting answers and you're not feeling supported, that is not the end of your road. That is not the end of your path. There is energy on the other side. You still have options. There are resources available to you. There are people out there that want to help you. It is not the end of your road. And I think it's so important for women to understand that, because a lot of women that I speak with, even they'll come to me and they'll say, I've been on thyroid medication for 15 years and I just slowly start feeling worse every year and they just up my dose. And it's pains me, and I'm just like, I wanna give you a giant hug because it doesn't have to be that hard. There are ways that we can help you feel better. Yes, our hormones decrease with age. Yes, that changes our body, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer. There are ways that we can navigate that so that you can still feel good.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Ashley, this has been absolutely amazing. I want to let everyone know that wherever you're watching this or listening to this, her information will be below or to the side of this. So I'm super excited for you to be able to touch base. Ashley, can you just say your website anyways? Just so
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at ashleycruzarata.com or at ashleycruzarata on Instagram. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions. Drop me an email via my website. I'm happy to connect with you and chat about what you have going on or see if I can put you in the right direction as well. If you're feeling like you're a little stuck right now, I promise it's not the end of your road. It's not.
I'm just going to say a big amen. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Savage Angel podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode. Bye for now.